All right, good evening. Thank you for a late evening message. Today this evening, tonight, we're going to talk about can you defend yourself? Can you defend yourself? And we will be in the books of Acts, chapter 26. And here in the book of Acts, chapter 26, is when Paul finally made it to Rome and he was being judged by the king Agrippa. And after everybody said what they had to say, then the king allowed Paul to speak for himself. And in speaking for himself, Paul had to look over his life to see where his life landed him at. And that's where many of us are kind of into right now. We some of us we've had some heartbreaking decision that put us into a God-loving position. We had to make some struggles that now we see it was all worth it. And so for many of us that are sitting pondering at how good God is in spite of being belittled, in spite of being lied on, in spite of being gossiped about, in spite your child going to jail, despite divorces, we still on this mission to see what God has for us. But a lot of people fell to the side and they went back to who they really were. So if you look at them, some of them went back to whoring. Some of them went back to drinking. Some of them went back to lying. Some of them went back to looking for attention. So here, Paul, he's giving his defense before King Agrippa. What would your defense be if you had one day that God showed himself to you and you had to prove to God that everything you did was for him? What would you say? Acts 26, verse 1. Then Agrippa said unto Paul, thou art permitted to speak for thyself. Then Paul stretched forth the hand and answered for himself. He said, I think myself happy, King Agrippa, because I shall answer for myself this day before thee touching all the things whereof I am accused of the Jews, especially because I know thee to be expert in all customs and questions which are among the Jews. Wherefore I beseech thee to hear me patiently. My manner of life from my youth, which was at the first of my own nation at Jerusalem, know all the Jews. So here we see Agrippa has Paul in a trial. And he said, Paul, okay, you defending yourself, defend yourself. So when you look at your life and the things that you did to people, the things you said, the things you gossip about, the revenge you try to get, what do you think of yourself now? See, Paul, he said, I think myself happy. See, you got to be happy to serve God. So here, Paul in prison, well, not in prison, he's being judged and whether to go to prison, and he happy that he got evidence of a life following Christ. He was at he was his evidence was of his case was being examined by the highest official. But watch this. See how God set him up? He was happy because guess what? He got his chance to actually preach the gospel to the king. See, y'all sitting around here and want to get on the foundations and things with, old TD Jakes and Jamal Bryan, and you think you done arrived. You ain't did nothing. When you get to preach to some dignitaries, call me and let me know. I might want to ride around. But for now, you ain't did nothing. So when you look at your life, if you was called, if you was in prison, what would your message be about? Man, they gave me a bum trial. Man, I was innocent. What about God? So he told King Agrippa, you are expert in everything. Just hear me patiently. He said, I got a lot to go over. Hey, pass me a water, please. He said, I got a lot to go over. And for many of you, you don't have a lot to go over because there's no evidence of Christ being in your life besides going to church, Bible study, and choir rehearsal. So how can you defend yourself, watch this, as a Christian, and you ain't got no testimony? How can you defend yourself that you're a Christian? You ain't got no fruit. You ain't got no power. You ain't got no life pleasing to Christ. But guess what you do good? You got a page full of social media influence. You got a page full of somebody else teaching. You got a page full of jokes. You got a page full of your sexy clothing. But why you ain't got a page full of God? You got a page full of subliminal messages. Mm. He said, my manner of life from my youth, which as the first among my own nation, know all the Jews. So here Paul said, he said, I was known by the same people that's persecuting me. Because he not only was he a faithful Jew, but watch this. He was a faithful man among the Jews. He lived a strict life. Why you got so many excuses as to why you can't do what Christ told you to do? Why you got so many excuses of why you can't live your life totally for Christ? Because you want the world. Verse 6 goes on, he said, now I stand and am judged for the hope of the promise made of God unto our fathers. See, he got that God talk in him. Y'all do know I look at your social media page. Y'all don't talk about God, but you talk about everything about God. But now every now and then you'll dot a God in there. Just to let people you know about them. But cause see, when you got a relationship with God, he usually consumes your whole life, your whole conversation, your very being. I don't care who won the Super Bowl. I don't care about no sports goals. I don't care what the newest style is. I care about what God is doing. Y'all know more about what's going on in the world than in the spirit. Can you defend yourself when God comes back and he tried to get your attention, but it was Father's Day weekend and you had to speak a Father's Day message? You couldn't sling the hammer like you want because it was Father's Day. How you gonna defend yourself when he looked at his word and he said, show me where Father's Day is in my word. Then he gonna look at them 8 feasts. He said, I command you to celebrate the feast of week, the whatever it is, the 8 of them. I can't think of all them names. I don't even know your holiday. But watch this. You can't defend yourself because here you read a Bible and it said we commanded to serve these feasts till he come back. But what you did, you served Father's Day till he come back. You can't defend yourself for not following this word. He said, until which promise our 12 tribes instantly serving God day and night hope to come, for which hope's sake, King Agrippa, I am accused of the Jews. He said, I'm accused of preaching the very same thing they believe. See, I know how Paul felt. I, I'm accused of telling you celebrating a pagan day, but you believe in God, but you don't serve his feast. You serve the world. I tell you can't be around here with your tatas all up and your meat showing. But I'm accused of hating women. But your Bible saying you got to dress modest. I don't need to see how big your nipples are. I ain't got to see how fat your muffin is. I ain't got to see how long your Johnson is. Put on some clothes. I wish God would raise all the big mamas and them church mothers. A lot of y'all wouldn't even be in church. Y'all be around here in full slips, knee highs, and them kitten heels. Cause them church mama when I was coming up, no baby, you can't. Why you gonna sit in front of the pastor, huh? With your little short dress on up to your thighs, with your legs greased up, and for some of you ain't wearing no panties, and you want to sit around, you want to hop, cause you want pastor to peek. You a harlot. Why you want to stand up and sing baritone, but you got this tight European suit on so the girls can see what you packing? You a dog. Put some clothes on. Heathens. Verse 8 says, why should it be thought a thing incredible with you that God should raise the dead? I verily thought with myself that I ought to do many things contrary to the name of Jesus of Nazareth, which thing I also did in Jerusalem, and many of the saints did I shut up in prison, having received authority from the chief priest. And when they were put to death, I gave my voice against them. He said, Agrippa, look at him, Agrippa. Why you think that was special that God raised the dead? He said, I believed it and still killed Christians, is what he's saying. He believed the Bible and still put Christians in jail by authority from leaders in Christian. See, y'all can believe Christ, but y'all killing them at the same time. Y'all can teach Christ, but you hurt them at the same time. See, they get mad when Brother Hubbard teach them to think for themselves. They get mad when Brother Hubbard teach against their religion, their religious tradition, their man-made deceptive denominations, their man-made instruction. Because watch this. If you don't show no power around me, I ain't got no respect for you. I know the word too. I don't know it backward and forward, but I know when I need to hear something and when I need to teach it, the Holy Spirit tell me where I go to. He said, ask them, can they defend themselves tonight? I said, well, where that's at? He said, Acts 26. He said, talk about Paul. Because see, some of y'all killing people and you believe in the same gospel they believe. The problem is you don't want to follow the gospel. See, Paul said he was the strictest among his sect. So if Paul was the strictest among his sect when he persecuted people, how much more stricter he'll get when he started preaching this gospel? See, y'all go out in these clubs, y'all go on these trips, y'all spend y'all money on everything, but when God wanted, God, that's too much. But you gave that good 500 to hit. You charge him $400 a hit because you need your rent paid. But now that you're a Christian, God need that money. It's too much. It wasn't too much when you were doing what you were doing with it. Boy, that water cold. Watch this. And I punish them off in every synagogue and compel them to blaspheme, and being exceedingly mad against them, I persecuted them even unto strange cities. So Paul went around to every church talking about the same gospel he didn't know till years later he would be called to preach. I used to say, look at them church folks. I used to say, why I'm sitting in this church all day. I used to say them church folk dumb. I used to say, I'm glad I ain't got to preach this gospel. Years later, I'm like Paul, he got me. He got me. But watch how he got me. I done did almost everything that he already knew I was going to do before I got saved. Let's watch this journey. Now, he knew I still was going to do stuff while I got saved. All right? He knew I was going to do something when he said, preach this gospel. All right? He knew I was going to do something while I preached the gospel. You notice something? He didn't really care about what I was doing. He cared more about that I'm following the path that he had for me. Because as long as I ain't killing them, I'm talking about them now. You ain't got to be perfect. Stop thinking you got to be perfect. It's plenty of drunkards and killers, whoremongers that he used to preach the gospel. What I just taught y'all a couple weeks ago, we had one that had to, what's her name? I forgot her name. She had to dress up as a whore and be a whore just to get the blessing that was promised to her when she was trying to be good. See, sometimes you don't know the method God will use to get the blessing that was promised to you. She had to dress up as a whore and sleep with her father-in-law just to get what was already deemed hers. That's too hard for y'all? Let's look at Ruth. Ruth had to be pimped out by Naomi just to work in the field to barely make it because Naomi never taught her she had access to the field without even working. The Bible said, don't clean your land. Leave some for the orphans the widows and the stranger, or the widows and the stranger, however it go. Ruth qualified in both. She was a widow and a stranger. But the woman that said, I'm gonna teach you God, my God gonna be your God, the man of God who should have followed the rule, guess what? Nobody gave Ruth what she had to have. They made her work for something that already was hers. That's what's wrong with y'all. Because you don't know God. You sitting around here following people that telling you you got to do this, you got to do this. It hurt my heart to be on social media and I see this sissy get his man a license to preach and call him son, knowing he like boy butt. That hurt my heart. You ain't got a son. You ain't gonna get no son through no boy butt. Do you see when y'all want a license to preach? When you see that spirit, that same sex spirit on these people, you don't let them lay hands on you to do nothing because they transferring spirits. Now, I said, God, I hope that man don't leave his wife to go look for some butt because y'all spiritually dumb. All you see is a license. What good is a license? You ain't got no power. I said, look at that little foul demon still around him fooling people. I remember when that demon first got licensed. Me and my friend Cynthia down in Birmingham. We went to that. Watch, ooh, that's good. Thank you, Holy Spirit. We I forgot why we went. I think somebody invited because we knew somebody. And they was having it for this same person I'm talking about. Me and my friend Cynthia was sitting in there. When they came to lay hands on him, the people laid on, they was bulldaggers and sissies. I looked at her, she looked at me, and she said, Deidre, let's go. We gone. Ain't no God in that. I see that twinkle in your eye. That's all right. Do what y'all want to do. Verse 12 says, whereupon, as I went to Damascus with authority and commission from the chief priest, at midday, O king, I saw in the way a light from heaven, above the brightness of the sun, shining round about me and them which journeyed with me. And when we were all fallen to the earth, I heard a voice speaking unto me and saying in the Hebrew tongue, Saul, Saul, why persecutest thou me? Is it hard for thee to kick against the pricks? I don't care how mad people get at me. I don't care how many people talk about me. Guess what? They steady come listen to me. You can't kick against the prick. See, the reason, they listening to me to see if I'm gonna talk about them. Why you think I talk about it? Because that's what you coming for. I'm giving you what you want. But watch this. Notice when I talk about it, I make sure they get a good dose of this gospel. So whatever I'm talking about, I know half of them living in sin. I know half of them doing what I'm preaching about. So I make sure I let the word find you. Then I talk about you. Because me, I want you extra mad when you throw your phone in the wall. I want you extra mad when you pick up the friend and pick up the phone and call people I know or call the ex-wife and that nigga Dietrich talking about me. I want you to do that because you're a busybody. I want you to share my video. Listen here, I'm prophetic. I do everything I do for a reason. Don't think you ain't doing what I want you to do. See, I got to sacrifice myself. I'm trying to show you how much power I really got. So whatever you doing or saying to me, we already seen it. I'm just following the script. You ain't listen here. You ain't fooling me. I drink to that. You can't because I'm doing what God told me to do. You ain't because you ain't confident that you hear God. You know why I know you ain't confident in hear God? Because you got to still come see what I got to say. How many times I did that? Zero. Because you didn't even know what that means. And I said, who art thou, Lord? And he said, I am Jesus, whom thou persecutest. Watch this. Notice he heard a voice, but he said, who art thou, Lord? See, a lot of you spirit know who you fooling with, but your flesh don't know who you fooling with. That's why you going to get tore up because you letting that flesh overrule your spirit. Who are you, Lord? Who are you? Y'all around here attacking everybody character, everybody ministry, and you go home and beat your meat. You going home and you got disconnect notices. You going home and worrying about how you got to pay your bill. You got to skip a bill to pay a bill. But you say you blessed and highly favored. If that's blessed and highly favored, I'd rather be poor and completely broke. You blessed and highly favored, but all you got is 8 pieces of bread and some peanut butter. You highly favored, but you got a hole in your door that you won't fix. Or, but you done been on vacation. How you go on a vacation with a disconnect notice? Priority school. Verse 16, but rise and stand upon thy feet. For I have appeared unto thee for this purpose, to make thee a minister and a witness both of these things which thou hast seen, and of these things in the which I will appear unto thee, delivering thee from the people and from the Gentiles of whom I now send thee, to open their eyes and to turn them from darkness to light, and from the power of Satan unto God, that they may receive forgiveness of sin and inheritance among them which are sanctified by faith that is in me. See, God met them on the way to kill Christian. Now he got to bring them life. Man, I remember I was sitting in that house in that room back there, and I was asleep, but I wasn't asleep. And the courtroom appeared. Seen all 12 of the prophets. And I heard God's voice. Which one of y'all want him? Which one of y'all want him? And I'm sitting there like I'm in a witness stand. But I'm looking over there at these beings in his vision. And I heard Elijah lift it. He said, I'll take him. So then I go to my sister's house. And I was sitting in a chair. And some man just knocked on the door. And he asked for me by name. He says, is Diedrich Hubbard here? They say, yeah, he's sitting in a chair. I had just got out of mental institution. I'm sitting in the chair. That man came and stood on me and reached his hand in the air. And he said, God is calling you to be an apostle. And all I seen was light coming from me. I said, did y'all see that? They said, see what? I said, y'all didn't see that? She said, no. Them darn angels just came around and grabbing and doing it. And he left out the door. That man, I ain't gonna tell you then, you know. Watch this. That's why I laugh at people. You can't tell me nothing about that man up there. You can talk about me all you want. You can say what you want to say about me. But I know what I've seen and what I've been through. Guess what? And that's why a lot of people can't accept me because they ain't sold out. You know what I'm saying? They don't want they don't want God the real way. Y'all try to get excuses. That's why y'all go get them done licensed to preach. That's why y'all go pay $30,000 and $40,000 to preach. Because you ain't had that visit. That's why when people come up here and talk on something, well, how you know you're apostle? If you got to ask me, you ain't one. None of your business how you gonna know. Because number one, our apostle ain't gonna ask. Man, I love that stuff. Ooh, I love that stuff. And for God to send somebody, see, I be trying to get y'all to get to a point. Oh, I ain't talking about. I was in that darn house, and that bed went to shaking. I said, "Oh Lord, don't kill me." That cause that bed just went to shaking, and then I went to sweating, and all of a sudden I'm looking down at my body. I said, "Oh Lord, I'm dead." Cause see, the, you know, if you ain't used to it and you just been a whore all your life, supernatural stuff might scare you. I said, "You can." He said, "No, I need you to come here." And boy, that I just went on around there, and when I got past the atmosphere, that's when I seen the two angels just helping me on up where I'm supposed to go. I ain't gonna tell y'all all that, cause see, I know y'all like to listen to stuff and lie. I ain't gotta lie. See, I've been playing with y'all for 27 years. I'm gonna show you what's it all about. I guarantee you. I was. I remember somebody called me the other day. They were sitting there praying, and they said oil started coming out of their hand. I went to smile and then I said, "Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about verifiable proof that God in you. You ain't gonna be perfect now, but you just need to know God in you." I was listening to somebody told me her husband bought a gift. Watch this. Bought a gift for Father's Day, even though he don't believe in Father's Day. See, you don't know the wisdom of God. God had a reason for that. I just got through talking to the lady. She was talking about narcissism in ministry. And she said, "What you think about that, Mr. Hubbard?" I be laughing because people, see, I like people like that. You ain't got to call me old apostle and prophet. If you know my nickname, call me by my nickname. If you know my name, you call me name. But see, some of y'all call me everything but a child of God and don't know nothing about me. But yet, some of you stood right next to me. I was talking on the phone and my doctor having to come in. And and when when I hung up the phone, I said, "What you think? You too accessible to people." I said, "Yeah, I know I am." That's the problem. You can't defend yourself to God when you've been accessible to people who you can see the power, seeing demonstration of the power, but you still act like they normal. We ain't normal. Y'all do know we were sitting here to help y'all, don't you? Sit here to help y'all. I might be flesh and blood, but I ain't flesh and blood. I'm trying to tell you something without telling you, but you'll never know what I'm trying to tell you. That's why I'm different. That's why I don't worry about what people say to me. That's why I never get upset. I might be disappointed, but I never get upset. I don't get angry. I play angry because I know what this here can do with that attached to it. I know what that can do because I know what he told me. That's why I don't say too much in a fit of anger. So here, God stopped Paul in his tracks. A lot of y'all were stopped in your tracks when I came on the scene. But guess what? I'm trying to prevent you from killing people with your mouth, with your gossip, dying in religion. And guess what? Many of you go back to the same vomit that I done cleaned you off from. I can't open your eyes, so ain't nothing I can do for you no more. I can't make you believe me, so ain't nothing I can do for you no more. I can't make you see who you are. Ain't nothing I can do for you no more. I don't fool with you. I hope somebody else come after me, but I don't see nobody else coming after me. You know why? Because in 2037, you're going to wish you listened to me. But guess what? You ain't got to.